Welcome to First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. I'm your host, James Gardner, certified athletic therapist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, yoga instructor, human being. This platform, for the pros, by the pros, anybody in the performance space, and beyond. Welcome here to share in the stories of professionals, experiences, journeys, learning along the way. It's a platform to connect, to network, and to be a part of a community that cares, with conversations that matter, experiences that resonate, and generate ideas, thought-provoking, organic dialogue, passionate pros. Brought to you as always by First Star Therapy, Mobility Tape, Epic, and Benchmark Athletics. In association with the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association. It's First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being a part of it. So let's get going. Welcome to Let's Chat, an athletic therapy roundtable. This is session 32. Dylan Careirro is our guest this evening. Before we jump into his bio, I'm going to run through the ground rules. We are recording for the purposes of saving the world one conversation at a time, holding Dylan accountable as to his predictions for the CPL championship and the number of goals or golden boots he's going to win while doing so. But in all seriousness, a great guest this evening, high caliber athlete, great human being, has been through a lot in his career, and we'll get to that as well. Just want to reiterate that if you are a CATA accredited or certified therapist, CEUs are now available through the website, firststartherapy.com. You can register for membership, and the quizzes will be automatically populated. You'll get reminders as to when things are happening, so on and so forth. So that is live as of August 2nd this evening. So that is that. Those are the ground rules. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you'd like delivered to Dylan, please do so in the chat box or unmute your microphone as you see fit. And I'll do our best to deliver that information and have a great conversation this evening. All right, so born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Dylan grew up playing soccer with the Manitoba provincial team and the youth club ranks in the city of Winnipeg. At about 15 years of age, Dylan was called up to the under-17 Canadian national team and truly began his ascension. He went on to play in the under-17 World Cup qualifiers and made it all the way to the U17 World Cup. At 16 years of age, he moved to Toronto to be a part of Toronto FC Academy, where he was there for a full season. While he was in the academy, Dylan was called up to the U20 Canadian national team system and captained the team for 2 years of his eligibility to play with the under-20s. After a year at TFC, he was scouted to go to England and signed a professional contract with the Queen's Park Rangers. After that, moving at the age of 17, he spent 2 years at that club before finding another opportunity in Scotland, where he signed with Dundee FC. He enjoyed 2 great seasons there before returning back to Canada, where he decided to pursue the school option, and he played soccer at York University, winning an OUA championship and 2 national championship berths before getting drafted by Valour FC in the Canadian Premier League. He's been playing there now for the last 2 seasons and was recently named Captain of Valour FC. Dylan Careirro is our guest tonight. Dylan, I'll let you say hi, and then we'll jump into some conversation and sort of how we got to know one another.
Yeah, thanks for having me first off, and just hi everyone, and thanks for coming in on a long weekend.
Yeah, man, on a long weekend too. And for you, you're just saying you had a bit of time off this weekend. Obviously, things are starting to pick up in the CPL, but really appreciate you being here, Dylan. And we haven't seen each other face to face in a while, but the last few conversations we had were pretty good ones, and much different than the first few conversations we had actually at our time at York. We'll get into some of that, but yeah. So before we get going into the whole prep for where you're at, let's go back in time, and you started soccer at a really young age. What do you remember first about sort of like falling in love with the sport, and when did you start sort of thinking maybe along the lines of competition or higher level competition?
Yeah, well, I think I fell in love quite young for many reasons, but the big reasons were my family was really into it. My dad played soccer his whole life, and my uncles and some cousins that I had grew up playing soccer. But right from the get-go, my dad obviously realized I liked soccer, so he put me into it and coached me all the way up until U15 until I left Winnipeg. So it was I want to say at around 10 to 12 years old where I kind of realized that I had a good ability and a lot of technical skill and good potential to move forward with soccer, and that's where I realized that I need to push myself a little bit more and work just as much harder to get to where I wanted to play, and that was to go to Europe in the and right from the get go. Once I was about 10, 12, watching the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo growing up, and then other Portuguese stars on the Portuguese national team, and seeing their lifestyles through pictures and all that stuff and TV. It made me want that kind of life, and from a young age, I've just tried to strive and get to where they were.
Yeah, awesome, an awesome start, and then obviously having support along the way while you're at home, and now it's sort of come full circle. You're back home again, so it must be nice for everybody. If I don't know if anybody's still in Winnipeg from your childhood, but coming back around and being able to play there pro, and probably running into some people that knew you with those big dreams, and now you've kind of you've been to Europe, you've been to school, you've been to all kinds of places that where sport has taken you, or you've taken sport. And how cool is that, man? Being able to play at home, that must be this like that's a dream come true, right?
It's a dream. It's a dream. Yeah, like I said, I've said it to many people that I've spoken to. I've never ever thought I would ever play professionally in Canada, or even especially in my hometown. It was always I was fortunate enough to have a European citizenship, so I had the opportunity that some players might not have to go across the borders to Europe. So the goal was to always go there, but there was never a goal or an end goal to play professionally here, and especially to have it in my hometown where I still have a lot of family and a lot of childhood friends that come and support and watch every single game. It's very meaningful.
Yeah, that must be awesome. And we've had I had Noners on here as a guest with Joey Cheech. They were combo on here, and I know there's a couple other guys playing in the league, so you get to run into some former teammates too across the country playing in Canada, and must be such a cool thing, man. Just to kind of like the CPL really gained some steam, and I think it still is, right? Still like a growing league. There's still trying to get a lot of momentum behind it, and we'll get into this season because I think that's going to be awesome. What a great opportunity that'll be for you guys to get on the field. But yeah, so running into some of those guys as you used to play with them, and now playing against them, how do you navigate that? Do you feel like that's I don't know, a heightened sense of camaraderie or like competition, or how does that play out when you get to the pitch?
I mean, in the end, it's great to kind of to have all my ex teammates kind of share those opportunities and play against each other, and not only play against each other, but have the opportunity to do this as a living and talk about things that we were talking about when we were teammates, what we wanted to do go forward and play professionally. So to have this opportunity and seeing other guys in the league strive that I know personally, it's something special, and it's always like I said, it's always good to see them once in a while whenever you play them and interact and share some more memories with them.
Yeah, no, awesome. What a cool way to sort of, I don't want to say wrap up your career because you're just getting going, but like to come around to this wasn't even an option, probably when you were going to Europe, the CPL was sort of maybe just a long distant dream for some ownership and sort of the creators of the league. And then now it's come to fruition. What an awesome opportunity for Canadian athletes, and um, for obviously for a program like York, high caliber university team that has national contenders every year. A bunch of guys going off in different ways. Do you stay in touch with those guys that are playing pro and some of the guys that aren't? Do you still stay in touch with some of the York guys?
Yeah, all the time when I'm in my off season, I try to go to, like, especially we're done in October, so I always go and see their OUAs and make sure I'm supporting them. And just in the off season, whenever there's some sessions that we can kind of get together and do it, it's we try to get together and enjoy some more memories. But yeah, like I said, we'll probably go back into the CPL and where it was just like kind of a dream before, but the CPL kind of helped me in my mental switch, and I think we'll talk about that later on in this chat.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's a lot of things to discuss. Our kind of, I guess, our paths crossed with York. Obviously, I was primarily working with football, but then sort of crossed over into soccer as well as the football season would end and soccer would continue on. And I was just kind of floored at the level of competition and finesse and just the quality of soccer that was being played by you guys and within sort of the OUA and U Sport. Um, that I would kind of just sit back and watch as sort of an overseeing therapist and kind of work with some of the student therapists on the sidelines. And I was just always amazed at like how you could hit a ball across the field and put it right on somebody's foot, with another object or with your arm maybe, but like I can hardly walk in a straight line, let alone hit a ball across the field some 40 yards or something like that and put it on somebody's foot, dribble in between, keep your eyes up, see the whole pitch. It's an amazing sport. And it also kind of brings my mind as as an athletic therapist and as a strength and conditioning coach, these kinds of things and these areas of performance to the forefront. Like we have to treat then soccer players a little bit differently than a baseball player, obviously, in terms of how we prepare, how we help prepare, how we assist, how we do these kinds of things on the sideline. We'll leave the cold spray out of it, but the preparation was always a bit of I don't want to say an issue. It just wasn't at the forefront when I was at York with the soccer program. Has that been a change for you? I know you've changed a lot since your surgery at York, which is definitely where we'll talk about. But the training regimen that you're doing now in the CPL, is it? I mean, obviously it's mandatory and things like that, but is it heightened in comparison to what the expectations were in university or elsewhere where you've been in the past?
Massively. I wouldn't say elsewhere where I've been in the past because it was very important, the physical side of it, and I didn't kind of understand that when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought my technical ability and all that could lead me into the player I could be. But I obviously understood it now at this age where you really need that physical aspect and getting in the gym and understanding what you need to recover and what you need to strengthen and to do all those things. And it was a big difference, especially from the university level to the CPL. And I realized that quickly last year, where I thought coming into the season, I was sharp and I was sharp. I was ready to go and I felt good body wise. But then coming into a season where you're training every day and the intensity is higher, the level of quality is a little bit higher. Your body just doesn't understand it, and it's difficult for your body to recover just as quickly as what other players were doing professionally that have been playing 4 or 5 years in a row. So it was difficult for me, and but I've understood what I need to do and how I need to strengthen and what I need to recover and eat, do all the right things. And this year I feel a lot better, and I understand just what I need to do to be prepared for every single session that we do.
Yeah, and what does your support system look like in the CPL? We'll just talk to your experience because you're not with any other roster. We'll just speak to Valour FC there in Winnipeg. What does that look like in terms of a support team? Do you have a strength coach, somebody on field with you, in the gym with you, programming for you, an athletic therapist? What type of resources do you have with you?
So we're very fortunate here at Valour. We work with the Bomber staff, the
Okay.
CFL team. So the Bombers kind of whenever we go into the gym, their athletic trainers come in and give us how do I say it? They come in and they see what we need to work on, and then they give us a program, and then we go in 3-4 times a week whenever we can to get that program done, and then we go and see them every couple of weeks just to see where we're at and go from there. We do have two trainers in the Valour program that are there as well. So we have a lot of good support in a sense of that, and what we need to build on, and what we think we need to improve on, what we think that we need to kind of slow down and improve on different things physically. So we've been very fortunate in a sense of the staff and the support that we have here at Valour. And obviously with this whole situation of the pandemic, it's been a bit difficult, and the CFL and hasn't been around, and we don't have just as much staff as what we should be having right now at the club. But we kind of understood what we need to get done in March before this pandemic hit, and we've kind of maintained that. And obviously throughout this whole pandemic, we do 2 to 3 Zoom calls a week and just do different workout sessions together as a team.
Yeah, nice. And that's sort of like that scaffold of the CPL and the CFL. Is that common to your knowledge, like through with the CFL, where there's a CFL team and there's a CPL team, they kind of share space, right? Is that
yeah,
across the board?
I would assume so. I know there's another team that also is supported by the CFL, and that's the Hamilton Ticats. They have Forge FC there. So I know that they share the same facility. We share the same stadium, same facility. So I would assume that they would kind of be working together as well, because who wouldn't want the best for both of their teams?
Yeah, and it's a cool space out there. I haven't been, but the Winnipeg fans for football, definitely for the CFL, are a little bit rabid, right? How are they for Valour FC and for you guys when you're on the pitch?
Incredible. I think probably one of the best fans in the league. We average about 6,000 to 7,000 a game, which is
awesome.
pretty good for a first season. I think we hit about 14,000 about 2 or 3 games last season. So the fans are really good here, and they like, there's not much to do here anyways. You got the CFL, you got Valour, and you got the Winnipeg Jets. But by the time the CFL and the CPL start, the Jets are done. So the Winnipeggers, they love their sports, and they ride along with whoever's playing.
Yeah, that's great, man. It must be such a cool thing to get back into and be there. I mean, it's nice when you're in a big city like this, and York had a great support system for soccer. As you guys started winning, you sort of started gaining some more notoriety on campus and really pumping in some fan support and some school support there. But probably nothing like 6,000 to 8,000 is great for a CPL team and just in its first year in the league, and then moving forward. That's awesome. Coming back around to the training aspect, the physical side of things, with the therapy staff and the strength staff there. One thing that I found really interesting in the time at York was the amount of good quality work that could be done on the pitch, because you guys were notorious for not taking the quote unquote not taking the extra time to go downstairs and train in the training facility under load or under weighted load or resistance load in the gym. But you had some great people working with you on field in Costa, and then some of those other guys along the way that were I don't know if he overlapped with you. I think so, for 1 year. Anyway, on the field doing some of that stuff. And when it comes to training for on-field stuff, the neuromuscular training programs that are available, so you would know the FIFA 11 plus and like these kinds of things. You may not know them by name, but they're built into the majority of what you're doing when you're prepping for soccer, with good programs. So for all the trainers, therapists, strength and conditioning people out there, where you feel like there is resistance on the part of athletes or organizations, there's a lot of good opportunity to make that sort of the movement prep component of things before teams get going on the field. Because this guy right here definitely bought into that, and the program at York developed that over time. While I was there, and I hope still going strong with that now, building it in. The gym time isn't front of mind for everybody, especially for like a commuter school like York. There's a bunch of commuters, so extra time on campus wasn't really a thing that was going to happen anyway. So, but the on-field stuff was great. So, jump, landing, these are the kinds of things. We just have big terms for those things, but landing, biomechanics, cutting, pivoting, doing these kinds of things, and really training the body to be able to cope over a long period. And speaking of coping over a period of time, you guys are about to move into the bubble, right? So that's right. The CPL has made the decision to go with the season. Why don't you give us a breakdown of what that looks like? You and I talked about it. I've done some reading about it, and sounds like it's a great part of the country, that's for sure. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. I've done a few kind of tournament formats the way they're trying to do it, with World Cup qualifying, and it's fun, but it's not. It's going to be you're sacrificing some things. In a World Cup format, you're allowed to leave a hotel, you're allowed to walk around, check things out. This is obviously, we're in a bubble. It's very private. It's just the league. we'll be getting tested every week, and we'll just be trying to stay in this little bubble, going to the field and back, eating with your team, going back to your room. It's going to be a bit difficult, and you sacrifice things, but with such a long off season that we've had, it's going to be such a great time just to get back on the field and enjoy what we love to do and what our job is.
Yeah, and it's been, I'm sure it's been a little hectic trying to figure that out and all the what ifs and trying to navigate that on a good day, let alone when you're struggling a little bit. So you bring up some interesting stuff when you talk about that. You're going to be on your own. You're going to be in your hotel room. You're going to be with your team, which essentially acts as a pseudo family. You'll have some guys you'll argue with, and then you'll be fine. You'll have other guys that you'll never argue with, and you'll be fine. You'll have some people, back and forth as you would, but the mental side of things is surfacing everywhere. I think in these times, we're challenged on a daily basis to figure out what and how do we actually exist, and what means what, and what to do with our time. So understanding that your being in a bubble is playing a major role in a greater community, right? So it's essentially providing community service, in that you're doing what you get to do and what you get to love, or what you love and what you get to do. But you're providing, you're a role model for everybody else because you're staying in the bubble, you're abiding by the rules, and you're doing that kind of thing. But not to take anything away from it, it's going to be difficult, right? So how have you attempted to prep for that side of things?
To be fair, I've done two different quarantine moments.
Yeah.
When this whole pandemic hit, I obviously went back to Toronto where my family's based. So I did a 14-day quarantine period already.
Yeah.
So my mentality already was, okay, I need to do it. I need to stay in my own little bubble in the house, whatever, do what I need to do, and then get through the 14 days. And hopefully I'm still feeling fine. I then had to come back here and do another 14-day period of quarantine. So
Right.
mentally already, I'm kind of switched on that I've already done 28 days, so I can go and do another 49 days. And the good thing is that you're not doing it alone this time. You're doing it with a family, pretty much, a sense of your family. So for me, will it be difficult? I don't think so. But for my teammate that has a family and kids at home, it might be a little bit more difficult. So that's my job to kind of get him to just understand and kind of just keep him motivated and keep him going throughout the whole tournament format, and yes, just try to enjoy as much as I can. But mentally, I think I'm already switched on as I've done it for 28 days. So I'm ready to get going and to get playing again.
Yeah, I can feel that itch is kicking in. You're ready to just get on the pitch and start doing it, and then we'll cover the rest of it when we get to it. But is your staff going with you? So like all the coaching staff will go, the service providers will go, your support staff, strength and conditioning, and athletic therapy. Though each team will take their own. Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah. We'll all take our own. We'll take all of our staff, all of our players, and then I think the league's providing a few things as massage therapists, some psychologists throughout the whole tournament. So
yeah,
fantastic. It'll be good for the players.
Yeah, great. No, it's a great talking point, even just to consider, what would go into preparing for this. What supplies do we have to take? It's sort of a great exercise for students and for therapists who work with teams. You use this as an opportunity, although you may not be the person going, to really schedule out like how things would look, or think about how things would look when you're with a team for that long a period of time, and that many games. So you guys are playing a whole bunch of games, right? A minimum of 7 games. Is that right?
7 games minimum in 30 days.
In 33, is that right?
33 days. So you're looking at about 2 games a week. Difficult, very difficult to be playing at a high intensity level for 90 minutes and being able to do it for 7 games. So to have a full squad and to understand that you might not play every single game, but you'll end up playing, and the team's going to need you in some point. It's about keeping your focus and keeping that mental switch on inside, and it'll be enjoyable, and we'll see what happens after the 7 games.
That's amazing. And so after 7, obviously it expands. So you're the minimum of sort of 30 to 33 days, 7 games within that period, and then it'll grow based off of record and whatever other equations are needed to figure that out. And then you'll just keep kind of going, right? So do you know the maximum number of games? How many would you
Yes.
to win it?
Max, you could play 12. So
Yeah,
you play the first 7, and then 11. The top 4 go into another round where they play each other. So it's another
yeah,
3 games.
yeah.
And then if you make the top 2, you end up going to the finals and playing a final.
Yeah, amazing. What a cool. It brings you back to being a kid a little bit too, right? Like where you used to run around and play all the time. But you just now you can't do that as much because your body breaks down. You're playing at a higher intensity. You know, you're trying to respond in a more rapid turnover kind of rate. So a lot of different things to consider from a therapeutic side as well as a preparation side. And I'm sure as an athlete, you just have to consider, you know, where do I hit the brakes and where do I hit the gas, and you know, where can I put it in cruise control, you know, as often as possible to really recover from this thing. So just while I have you here, I'll wish you the best on that, because I don't know if I'll catch you again before you go, but what an awesome time. I look forward to sort of following you guys while you're there, and wish you the best. Obviously, you just named captain too, so that's massive. How does that change things for you, or does it change anything for you, or what cap do you put on when you take on that role now that you have it as a title?
Yeah, I mean, it's an honor, especially because it's my hometown. But nothing changes. I'm the same Dylan, same type of person. I try to push my teammates to their max. I try to get them to make sure that they're all focused and they're prepared to play and to train every single day they come in. And might not be me vocally saying it, but it's me coming on the field and doing the proper things and them seeing it. So that's kind of the type of captain I am. I like to lead by example on the field, and when the voice needs to be heard, then the voice will be heard. But same type of Dylan's funny one. Try to get everybody laughing and enjoy being at a great club.
Yeah, I remember some of those on the buses out at nationals and stuff like that, with some pretty good jokes, which we'll keep off the screen for now, just because it is being recorded, and I just don't want anybody to take your material. Not that they were offside or anything like that, but let's just keep it off. But yeah, you talk about being a captain and leading by experience or leading by example or both. This is something that I felt. Palpably switch in you after you had a major injury at York in your final season at York. You had an injury to your knee, tore your ACL, had to have surgery and go through that whole rehab process. And it's not, you know, we sometimes in the therapy world we're like, oh, just an ACL, just another ACL. We just see lots of those. We know what to do with them and that kind of thing. And oh, it's soccer, of course, it's ACL tears, but there's a lot more to it than that. Um, how did you sort of just kind of walk us through when it happened, and then how you got the news, and then sort of looking at surgery and what you felt at the time, if you can go back, and then we'll walk through the rehab process. And yeah, I don't think I'm overstepping when I say that really changed something in you to sort of start leading by example on the field and with your work ethic. But yeah, let's go back to when the injury happened and sort of what went through your mind, and then how you bulldogged your way through the rehab and got yourself to where you are now.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a difficult situation for me to kind of talk about, because obviously it was upsetting, my first ever serious injury. Um, and obviously the stage I was at mentally at that time. But I was just playing with my friends, playing pickup soccer, and just happened to make a move, going at a quick pace, tried to turn. Guy kicked the ball away, and when I tried to turn and go around and wrap my right foot around, I've just felt a pop in my left knee,
Mm.
and obviously I've never felt a pain like that before. So right away I went down and struggled to kind of get up, and just shot down my back leg and into the bottom of my foot, and I knew something was up. So struggled to kind of get up. So I need to get some help up. The next day, obviously, I spoke to Carmisacco, the coach of York University, and I told him what happened, and he told me to get into the treatment room as quickly as possible, and to find out what the physios think about it. And I went the next day, obviously unable to walk, was in crutches. Went to go see the staff at York University, and there was a few different rumors that were being around, maybe a PCL, maybe a ACL, possible MCL, very unknown. So they said we need to get a scan and all, and kind of understand what it really is. There was really no swelling in my knee, so that was kind of a big thing that they didn't think it was an ACL just because of there was no swelling at all into the knee, so they were a bit confused. So yeah, I went into get an MRI, and right away they looked at it and said it was an ACL tear, and mentally it was very difficult for me, very hard. I was at a state where I was playing professionally in Europe. I didn't have any options to go back or play anywhere professionally, so I was at a state where mentally I wasn't in the right place as a soccer player, in a sense. So I was fortunate enough for Carmen Sacco to bring me to York University and kind of get me to love the game again and understand my love for the game and how I enjoy playing it. And obviously, when this happened after my first year there, it was really difficult for me to kind of understand and cope with it. And yeah, that's how it all started on how I tore my ACL.
Yeah, yeah, and then once you had the news with the MRI, we sometimes look at MRIs for lots of reasons, but that was one, I think, looking back, where you showed some signs, you had a mechanism of injury, you didn't have a lot of the telltale signs of what a textbook would tell us, or what experience would tell us that this is clear cut, this is an ACL. So you get the MRI result back, and the option is, you have surgery or you don't, and you probably don't really play soccer again without an ACL, at least if you're not the guy that just runs directly straight up and down on a field, or doesn't have to do anything side to side or cut or pivot. So to walk us through that decision and sort of the education behind that, and then the rehab following surgery. You had the surgery, and then we jumped right into rehab right away. And I think that's certainly where we had a lot of dialogue, you and I, and then with our strength team downstairs, really kind of brought you up to speed, and you brought us up to speed about, wanting to put in the effort and really pushing this thing.
Yeah, it was obviously not a difficult decision. It was just me kind of understanding, do I want to keep playing, or what's my next step? And obviously, for the love of the game and everything I've done throughout my whole life, I couldn't stop playing. So the main goal was to get this surgery and understand that it was going to be tough. And talking to a few guys that have done it on the team already and at York University, they've kind of talked to me about it, speaking to the physios at York University, talking me through what the process is kind of going to look like. But yeah, once going into the surgery, it happened, and it was difficult. It was probably the most pain I've had in my life. I don't wish it upon anybody. I think I haven't had any other big injuries, but I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to do many things, and the pain that I had experienced the first 2 to 3 days after surgery was incredibly tough, mentally and physically on my body. But I understood that it was for what was to come, and not only understand that I need to push myself, but I was fortunate enough at that time. The coach at Valour gave me a call and said, "Listen, there's a league coming next year, and I really want to have you on this team." And right then and there, him having that, even understanding that I just tore my ACL, and he still has the faith in me of coming and bringing me to this club, just gave me the confidence and the push to just start recovering from this ACL and understanding what I really need to do to get back to where I actually want to be in my life.
Right. Yeah. And on our side, when we're evaluating knees or evaluating injuries, there's a lot of things that go into it, but there's also a lot of unknowns. I mean, granted, the positional side of things and the biomechanical forces and overload that, positionally you were in when it happened, contribute to the injury, certainly. But, one of the only things that we know about injury is that fatigue plays a role, a definitive role in sort of injury or injury prevention. So you talk about it uniformly across all sports. And then I look sort of now back at the time at York, and although maybe not training at the capacity that you are now or were in Europe, there's a lot of other things on your plate when you're a university athlete, right? Like, relationships and schoolwork and scheduling and commuting or not, or paying rent or having a job or all these other things that are on top of it. So we really have to look at that fatigue factor as sort of the one thing that we know. But not to take away from the fact that, obviously the pain and the mental affect on you at the athlete comes to the forefront. And then we need to look at you and we need to figure out, what is it that we were missing? Is there a learning opportunity here for you, the athlete, and for us, the staff, to really build some things into place that you didn't have prior to injury, so that you could be better off coming out the other end than you were going in? Sometimes it's reactive in nature, only because we hadn't spent the time at the beginning to really get to know you as a body, as a soccer player, as a human being. And then the injury happens, and then we utilize that, and then we switch focus and really make that an athlete-centric approach to what this can look like moving forward. So you and I spent a bunch of time, I know, in the clinic, and then getting down into the gym and beginning to move down in the gym, and we found some interesting things about you along the way as well, right? Like, you got under load fairly early on, with Adam and myself and the therapy staff at York and the strength and conditioning staff, to really push that range of motion early and really start developing that strength, with the extra motivators behind you of Valour FC and being a high level athlete coming in and understanding that, yeah, there's some greater purpose to this. Did you feel like the process was a little bit of insight into yourself, an opportunity for growth within you, or how did you feel as you went through?
Yeah, I felt there was many stages that I felt. There was stages where I see other players kind of playing and I wasn't in that stage, and just kind of understanding that side of it where I can't play and how am I going to adapt to not being able to play. So that was kind of the first one, and the second one was just kind of understanding what was weak in my body and what I needed to strengthen in it. And it made me realize, after having the surgery, seeing what I can do with my right leg compared to my left leg, there was a few different changes, and not only with just because of the ACL, but because of there's so many weak different muscles that I needed to fix to be able to not have this injury happen again, or to not have it on my right leg next time, and to understand that it's very important to work on every single piece of that lower body per se, to make sure that you kind of injury resistant, and make sure you understand what it is you have to do to not get injured, and understand your body a little bit more, and when you can go and when you can push and when you can't push. And I think there was times where I pushed myself to the max, and there was times where I just couldn't do it no more, and I needed to settle it down and just lowered the tempo for the week. And so it made me kind of mature as an athlete, and understand a little bit more of the outside of the field stage, and it made me just appreciate being on the field inside a lot more.
Yeah, awesome insight. And for all of us that spend time with athletes, with other human beings, really trying to understand what injury can do to you, and take away from you, or it takes away a part of your identity, takes away a part of who you are at that time, but also has the opportunity, when approached the right way, or approached a way, to really enhance excuse me, who you are as an athlete and a person coming out the other side. Really, you can dive into who you are and what you need, and what you might have been missing before, or what you might have been doing that wasn't necessarily beneficial. Yeah, so we walked through that, and we found out, your hips were kind of a thing, right? So your hips are, I mean, when we talk about soccer athletes and athletes playing at a pro level, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best movers in every aspect of every joint. With your permission, I still use your video that we took, the footage that we took of you squatting and hip hinging, and I actually have a hip course coming up online in August, and I use your video still to this day, just to demonstrate, what hip motion can look like in a functioning high level athlete, because your hinge pattern and your squat pattern are just, they're you. That's it. It doesn't mean that just because you can't do them the way that 3 textbooks tell us you should be doing them doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that you can't play soccer at a high level because you're doing that. So then it's a matter of reorganizing where we spend our time and how we evaluate and what we put our energy into helping you, Dylan Careirro, be the best athlete that you can be through that, right? So your hips were an issue that never really got addressed. We spent some time definitely working on them during a national championship just to keep you going. And then definitely during that ACL, that's where our focus shifted, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, I still have the issues to this day.
Yeah.
Last year, obviously, I dealt with a few groin issues,
Mm-hmm.
and it was high up in the groin, so they thought it could end up leading to my hips just because of the situations I have. I have no external. I don't know if I'm saying it right. External rotation,
Yep.
very limited. So, and I mean very limited.
No, we're talking. I'll talk like therapy speak. I think we were talking at a time when we evaluated it somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees total rotation, internal, external, in the hip. And that you're talking to an athlete who's ground based and needs to pivot and rotate and hit a ball and receive a ball and go out wide with a gait pattern and these kinds of things. So just to put that in perspective, that's not a lot of range of motion for a hip or hips when you need to do those things. So anyway, yeah, keep going with those ones.
Yeah,
The groin stuff.
I obviously had X-rays and MRIs last year just to see if maybe having a possible surgery to kind of shave the bone down
Mm-hmm.
and see if that would help. And to be fair, they said it could be an option if I wanted to, but there was no loss of blood. There was no really rubbing. It was just more that I was born with a bigger bone, and the bone just doesn't allow the rotation to happen. And they just said it's either you have the surgery if you would like to, but you as a professional can deal with it as you've done it in the last 6-7 years. So I've obviously made the decision to not work on it yet, and because I'm able to do what I'm able to do still, and understand that I might do it differently, but I still do it in a good way. And that leads to something that I kind of do before training sessions. I have an activation, and what happens with me is my glutes don't fire up. So my hamstrings and my quads do most of my work. So my goal before going into the session is getting my glutes to fire up so that they understand that they need to work. So that there's not so much pressure in my hamstring and my quads, which led me to a lot of groin and a lot of hamstring and quad injuries growing up, was because I didn't understand that I need that to fire, and I didn't understand that they weren't firing. So now that I have that access and being able to understand what I need to do, which I do probably 2 to 3 times a day, just different glute exercises just to get them firing, just to get them stronger, so that I'm not doing all that work in my lower body. But it's funny because we do a lot of workouts with the guys and the Nordics. I'm able to go all the way down and bring myself all the way up, and they say it's incredible how you're able to do that. I said, well, one, they do all the work, and two, that's what happens when you tear your ACL. You got to work on a lot of things, and I'm very fortunate to. I wouldn't say I'm fortunate to get the injury, but I'm very fortunate to have that situation in my life, and for me to kind of understand it a lot better now.
Yeah, to grow from it for sure. That was an opportunity. I don't know. I just always go back to like making lemonade when the lemons are there. You might as well. What else are you gonna do? Unless you like tequila shots or something like that. But like, just make the lemonade and you take the opportunity and when that's in front of you and turn it into something positive, and you learn a little bit more about you. And the third part of that is like, yeah, you're great in the sagittal plane, moving forward and backwards with the hamstrings and the quads on the front and back. But the rotary component of your hips just isn't there. So over the course of your life, you've developed an ability to compensate, like almost super compensate in terms of what we'd expect to see, and then put you on a table and move you around a little bit, and we almost jaw dropping in terms of how you've been able to accomplish what you've been able to accomplish. But that's the human body, right? And one of the things that well, a couple things that we know about the human body is that it responds to movement. So you're in a situation where if you don't move your hips, they're not going to move. So you got to find a way to move them within what's available to you, and coach the external tissue to help the internal space, right? And then the other one is overload. So by overloading the tissue, the joint, the capsule of the joint, these kinds of things through motion or through isometric holds, you're developing a bigger repertoire to be able to continue on in soccer. So I'm happy to hear and happy to see you smile while you talk about how strong you are. And that didn't used to be a thing, but it's a thing now, and it's going to help you massively when it comes to well, let's say hopefully 11, 12 games in 49 days instead of 7 and 33. Well, hopefully you can take that thing and bring a trophy back home for your fans and friends and family. It'd be cool to do that. You've been through a lot, man. You've been through multiple continents, multiple countries, multiple teams. You've been to school, you've been home, you've been away from home, you've been home again. What a cool journey and opportunity that sport presents, right? Like when you look at it, your office is a pretty cool place, right? You sit there sometimes and just say like, man, where else would I rather be?
And you say that, but it's honestly, you see, obviously with this whole pandemic, you see a lot of people out of work and all that stuff. And you just sit here and say like, listen, I'm fortunate to just be in this situation where I'm still getting paid, I'm still training, I'm still doing what I love, and I'm not in a situation where I'm losing my job and I'm not getting paid. I don't have a
Mm-hmm.
situation where I'm not happy and I'm not enjoying my life. I'm enjoying it. And I can say that I have many, many friends all over the world. And if one phone call, if I want to go there, they'll take me in with open arms. And it's such a great experience to just be able to have that opportunity and to understand how fortunate I am to be able to travel across the world and see many, many things that a lot of people won't end up seeing.
Yeah, I think it's so great it's amazing to hear you say, what an opportunity this is, but also like how grateful you are for it. It's kind of this resounding theme of everybody who's been on here in terms of the opportunities they've had and continue to have through sport and through performance and through creating networks of people. So I'll thank you again, Dylan, for your time on here. We're not gonna end just yet, but I really appreciate you taking the time out this evening, and for everybody who made it on here and everybody who's gonna pick this up live. Just taking the time to grow this network, to grow our profession, to grow our networks is massive. And Dylan, guys like you and athletes in general contribute so much to our lives and development of us as performance personnel. And as athletic therapists in Canada, seeing Canadian athletes continue to strive and continue to play at the highest levels, and work with us as athletic therapists in Canada and sort of around the world, it goes such a long way for building our network and our profession. So for my time with you at York and the time that I'm sure we're going to have in the future together again at some point, I really appreciate your efforts, your friendship, the camaraderie that we built, and sort of, the lasting legacy that you built into that program at York, and to everybody that you've been around, man. So I like to do this publicly because I probably never did in the past, and this is an opportunity for me to do that and take that on and just let you know that I really appreciate it, and you've had a big part of my life as a professional as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, obviously, and like I said, I owe a lot to you, because not only did you get me recovered, and everyone at York University, the staff there that was working, but just keeping me focused and keeping my head up and making sure I'm positive and being happy, and I always say you're a big part of my life just because of what I went through, and it's helped me massively to get to where I am now.
Yeah, no, it was a big part of both our lives. We'll leave it at that, and we'll
Or
save the
start
tears.
crying, eh?
We'll save the tears for another night. But I mean, I'll probably have some later when I go back and watch this again. But you talked about elective surgery and getting the X-rays and potentially having the surgery. This is another thing to consider when we're talking therapeutically and talking with athletes and general population, is looking at the prognosis of what those surgeries are and really understanding what the surgery would be to quote unquote fix what you have going on. There's no guarantees that surgery is going to fix anything. And maybe in your case it's congenital, and it's just the way I mean, it's not just, but it's the way that your body has formed over time and how you were born and those kinds of things. But there is no guarantee that the surgery fixes what's causing the issue or what is the issue. A lot of the times the surgery fixes the tissue that's banged up or problematic, but the mechanical issues and the contributors to that injury sometimes go overlooked because the surgery has been done. Not the case with you. Your ACL rehab was bar none. I mean, you didn't miss a beat with that one. You crushed it. We had you sagittal plane motion very early on, squatting and lunging and inline things and having you do a bunch of stuff throughout. So it was a really impressive recovery. Add to the fact that the hips are what they are, and pressing through, and then going on and signing, and now a captain of a CPL team. Amazing stuff, man. How about this quarantine outside of soccer and outside of your professional world? Do you take on anything new in this time? I don't know what goes on in Winnipeg or where you were when you were in Toronto, but anything new? You playing guitar, or like, I don't know, doing anything?
I hate to say it because I was against it many years ago, and the last couple of years.
You're allowed to change. Don't hate it.
I really got myself into video games again.
Okay.
And obviously with this whole quarantine, I've been playing a lot of video games, which is difficult for me to take because before I wasn't like that, and now with this whole situation where I had so much free time, I didn't really know what to do. So the video games was one of them, and kind of just got myself into yoga a little bit.
Yeah, nice.
So just kind of the different types of stretches and movements to try to get my body kind of opened up in different body types, obviously. And us as a team, we ended up doing twice a week yoga sessions incorporated into our sessions in the quarantine stage. So those are probably the two main things that I put myself into.
Yeah, cool, man. I mean, video games and yoga. Maybe we can make a yoga video game. We could just come up with something.
I mean, we could try. We could try, I guess. Maybe put something in the eyes so you think you're in game, but you're doing the yoga, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. They had Duck Hunt, and that was like almost like shooting. That's the last game I can remember playing. I didn't play video games much, but okay, good, man. Well, listen, you look great. Season's coming up. I'll open this up for anybody who might have questions for Dylan specific to his career or what's going on with him, or the CPL, anything that he's willing to answer. Obviously, if anybody has anything, please fire away through the chat or unmute yourself. It's always a big deal to be able to have an athlete that's been through something as traumatic as an ACL tear on field, and then a surgery and a recovery, and then to come back and go beyond where you were playing at the level of the injury at the time of the injury, and now be playing at the highest possible level in Canada, and seeing where that takes you. It's a massive insight for us to understand all that goes into that rehab and everything that you've talked about tonight. So again, like, just sharing your personal space and your time and bringing you to us and us to you is massive, Dylan, and I can't thank you enough for sharing that with everybody. And so if anybody has anything, please feel free. Otherwise, I'll fire a couple more at you, Dylan, and then I'll let you get on your way, get your I won't say beauty sleep because you look pretty good already, but get your sleep, get your rest. You guys aren't practicing on the Canadian long weekend. You're observing the Canadian long weekend thing.
Except Monday. Tomorrow we're back at it tomorrow.
Okay,
Monday to Friday, and then we leave obviously to PEI on Saturday. So
yeah. So how's that looking? You're gonna take a charter, just the team personnel. You're gonna fly into Charlottetown, PEI. I can't always get the years mixed up. You weren't on the roster when York won the championship out there, right? And PEI, it was a year or two before you got there. But yeah, so lots of good space out there for York alum when it comes to soccer. There was a national championship out there, so don't run into Noners over breakfast, because he scored a pretty big goal out there that I'm sure.
Did he? Wow.
He'll tell you.
Hopefully, he'll bring me some York luck.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, I don't see anybody with anything coming in, so I will. Yep, yep. Yeah, man. So, I mean, it's been about an hour, and you got lots to do. What time do you go on field tomorrow?
And 8:45, 8:45 tomorrow.
8:45 a.m. And what does your day look like right now in terms of prep? How long are you on the field, and what are you guys doing? Is it skill work? Is it strength work? What kind of stuff are you doing in prep for the last week leading up to going into tournament?
Yeah, so obviously my day starts. I always get treatment in the morning. Just
Yeah.
make sure just if there's anything tight, I loosen up and be ready for the session. So I'll arrive at the stadium around 7:30, 7:45. We'll have all the guys in by 8:15 minimum,
Hmm.
and then we'll have a team meeting just to talk about what we're doing during the session, and then we'll go onto the field, do our activation, and then start our training. um, mid last week was when we started our phase 3. So
Yep.
we were in phases. We had phase 1 where it was just individual work, 4 to a field. Phase 2 was 5 to a half, so 10 to a field, and now phase 3 is the whole team and training together. So we're working on just things that are going to get us tactically ready.
Hmm.
The fitness stuff we've all done in the last 4 or 5 months, so we should all be fit by now, especially with the amount of time we've had off to get fit. But just to understand how the team wants to play defensively, tactically, offensively, get to know the kind of guys on the field and understand their movements off the ball, on the ball, and just kind of enjoy the competitiveness to be on the field now and training with the teammates.
Yeah, wow, awesome. Sounds like you're again just so ready for this. It's great, man, and I hope all your teammates have put in the work that you've put in, and there's nobody walking off that charter not ready to go. I'm sure everybody's ready to go at this point, with all this time, and then I see your background. You got a Pink Floyd poster there, and I think that was the first concert I ever went to. And
Oh,
yeah, man,
incredible!
Dark Side of the
Incredible.
Moon. Yeah. Some great stuff in the background, and I hope you're listening to that on a regular basis, because that'll put you in a space. That'll put you in a space. All
The
right.
right mindset, eh?
You got it. All right. Well, cool, man. Listen, going back to, oh yeah, question coming in. Going back to being able to play now after the break from COVID, how does playing with a crowd in the stands affect your? Great question. How does playing without a crowd in the stands affect your performance, or how do you think it'll affect yours or the teams, or certain people respond differently to that? So how do you think that'll affect? That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a bit different, right? Especially with the great fans that Winnipeg has, that
Hmm.
Valor has. The amount of noise they bring into the stadium and the energy they bring to get us going when we need that 12th man. So it'll be a bit difficult to kind of understand that there is no fans and how do I say it? That there is no fans, and it's I don't know, it's weird. It'll be very weird, but in the end, we know that it's going to be on live television, so there might not be fans watching, but there's people all over the world that's going to be watching, and just understanding that you got to push yourself no matter what, because you never know who's watching and where you could end up after the game. And if you play good, you never know. Another team might want to buy you from Europe and things like that. So that's our main goals, is to achieve things as a team, but also as an individual to try to make it to the top. And that's Europe at the moment.
Yeah, and there's sort of different levels of zoning up, right? Different sports talk about different zones, and sort of runners talk about runners high. And once you get on the pitch and start hitting the ball around, and worrying about tactical advantage and these kinds of things, hopefully that crowd doesn't play too much of a role. It's always nice, but not in times like these. We just these are the sacrifices, these are the realities. So have at it, man. Yeah, maybe they'll play crowd noise like in
I
baseball.
think
Just
I think
in the
to be fair, I think they're meant to do a virtual thing for the fans.
yeah.
Um, I think we're at UPI soccer stadium that we're playing.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm not sure how it looks, the stadium,
Hmm.
and if there
It's
is
just
kind of things
y-
that you're able to make that crowd noise. But it would be nice. But uh, what I could say is if you're an athlete and you're not competitive, then you're probably not a high level athlete. All athletes that I know are really competitive, and they want to win no matter what. If there's fans or if there's no fans, or even if it's just a training session, it's always competitive. So if you can't be competitive when you haven't played for 9 months, then I don't know what's gonna make you get going.
Yeah, no, it's great. If you're playing at UPEI, it's a great little pitch, man. Again, like, not to push Norders on you, but like, give them a call. You had a big goal there. I'm saying you're gonna hear about it anyway, so I might as well put it in your ear now.
Will, yeah.
Just call some of those guys that were on that team when they won the championship, because it was on UPEI's field, and it's a nice little field, man. It's got a nice little space, and playing in smaller stadiums, smaller environments will sort of numb out some of that big, large crowd stuff anyway, just because they probably could only fit I don't know, maybe a couple thousand on that sideline anyway. But yeah, no, it's great. Some great questions and a lot of things to consider, and I'll reach out and check in when you're out there, just to see how you're doing. And if you need anything on my end from a distance, I'm more than happy to assist as you see fit. You just let me know, man. And I wish you the best out there. I want to thank you again for your time. Dylan Careirro has been our guest this evening on Let's Chat, an Athletic Therapy Roundtable session 32. CEUs are live through membership again, for those of you willing and wanting to do so. For those of you that have already, really appreciate that. Keep growing, keep learning, keep doing this thing for our profession, and networking beyond that. It's been fantastic, Dylan. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time. I'll wish you good night, let you get out of here. And for those of you willing to stay on, I'll hang around for another 10 minutes or so. So thanks a lot, buddy. Good luck. And yeah, man, make sure you just do what you need to do, and stay active all the time, buddy.
Yeah, good to see some familiar faces. Britt, Kathy, good to see you guys.
Yeah, some familiar ones on there, and lots picking this up afterwards. So have a good night, buddy, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks. All the best, guys.
All right. Good night. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this community. Check us out online, firststartherapy.com. That's FIRSTAR therapy.com. Or email us with feedback, consult@firststartherapy.com. CONSULT@firststartherapy.com. On Instagram @firststar.therapy, and our podcast host @letschat.at. This is First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast.